The Rune 2 and Ashe and her butler Bob are as bad as any rebels you will meet. Ashe likes to play slower fights and quite literally burn enemy resources with Dynamite and then finish enemies when they're down. The Viper is a semi-auto rifle when shooting from the hip, which does a considerable amount of DPS, but increases spread after shooting for some time. The scope shot increases the damage per bullet, weapon range, and has no spread, but loses out on the rate of fire. Simply put, half the time you're scoped in looking to chunk down enemies from range, and the other half is spent unscoped, dumping the clip whenever someone gets into your personal space. As for the reload, Ashe reloads one bullet at a time. In order to ensure you have bullets still in the chamber, after each interaction or while repositioning, instinctively reload even if it's just one bullet. You can lob a dynamite at enemies, which deals explosion damage plus 100 burn damage. If Ashe shoots a dynamite, it'll detonate immediately, which will leave less time for enemies to react. A mistake most players make is standing still in order to shoot the dynamite, which is just asking to be shot in the head. The solution? A quick move right-left without moving your crosshair will keep it true whilst making you a harder target to hit. Now look to use this on supports or flanker DPS to deter them from doing their job. Of course, big clumps of enemies are just free all charge. Coach Gun is a movement ability utilizing Newton's third law of motion. If you look in one direction, the Coach Gun will boost you in the opposite direction. And if any enemies get hit from the pellets in close, they too will be pushed back. Finally, the myth, the legend, Bobbert. Bob charges in, and whenever he hits a wall, player, or gets stunned, he begins his turret stance where he'll shoot at anything in sight. However, if you tag an enemy with Ashe's Viper, Bob will shoot the same target and kill the thing that actually matters. Another big reason Bob is so good is because he counts as a player, which can contest objectives. So if you're not using it to stall/capture the objective, throwing it in the enemy backline is almost always going to yield some kills. When do you not play Ashe? Only a few heroes truly scare Ashe, namely Widowmaker and dive tanks. The threat of being one-shot from Widow puts Ashe in an uncomfortable position because the name of the game is to maintain uptime for as long as possible, and one peak could be the end of it. And dive tanks are the only reliable way of contesting Ashe, so she gets less damage done, and thus your team will start to lose their foothold. But there are ways around it. The two goals Ashe has is 1. Live and deal pressure damage, and 2. Farm Bob as quickly as possible. Off angles help with dynamiting the opposing backline to maintain that pressure and coach gunning when you need to retreat. Using cover and the AoE attribute of Dynamite will help so that you don't get domed. For strategy 2, it uses a lot of hip fire shots. At 150 damage per second, higher than Cassidy, dumping the clip will likely scare off enemy tanks, but also gain a lot of Bob charge in the process. The best part about it is that once you call in the Bob, you'll do the rest of the work for you.